Holy crap, the Chevys are fast and Kyle Busch or Kevin Harvick didn't win? What is this?
Lesson from the brain, seeing the beauty through the.
So yeah, last week I said that Pocono is usually a boring race that, yeah, I'll put it when I said last week, as this was not the case for this week, as yes, it was somewhat boring, but in the terms of a fan and seeing how some people who haven't been as good this season actually up there and competing, it was a good thing to see, and it was kind of interesting to see how those guys would do. So let me move my mic closer to my mouth so you guys can hear me. I want to go by fives, so I'll name off top five, then I'll go 6 through 10, then 10 through 15, 15 through 20, and then notables behind that. So, yep, let's get right into this. And right away, the top five. This is a very championship contending-esque, championship implications-esque top five here. As Kyle Larson's in second. MTJ got the win with 57 points. Kyle Larson in second, Kyle Busch in third, and Kevin Harvick in fourth, along with Brad Keselowski finishing in fifth. Now, Brad Keselowski, he was like on some weird strategy thing. I'm not even going to ask what that strategy was. In the end, clearly it worked out for him. He got fifth place, so shout out to him. MTJ getting the win. I mean, he definitely deserved it. He won stage one and came back from his pit crew being dumb. Not really sure what exactly happened there, but his pit crew did make him lose a lot of time. Kyle Larson finishing in second with 43 points. He was always like he was a fast car. He was running with Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney. Those three were running together like the entire race, and then all of a sudden just was the right place, right time, got up to second and was able to keep it. I was rooting for him to win, but I don't know if he necessarily deserved it, but he's always a fast car, and I'm actually going to talk about him a little bit later in the episode, so stay tuned for that. Kyle Busch got third. Now, he finished third with fresh tires, so it's kind of nice seeing someone with fresh tires not winning, I guess. I don't know. That doesn't really make any sense. But he just wasn't able to catch up to Larson, and Harvick gave him a good run, and he finished third. I mean, he had a great race. He did nothing. He just happened to finish third. There's nothing much we can really say about that. He didn't do anything wrong, and he didn't really do anything exceptional. He got 51 points, so shout out to him. And then Kevin Harvick, your stage 2 winner. He was pretty dominant for most of the race. It was really the Truex, Busch, and Harvick show that the entire race, and it was fun to watch. It was Blaney, Truex, Busch, and Harvick show at the beginning, but Blaney just never had the speed, which I'll talk about in a second. Speaking of Blaney, he finished 6th, along with Eric Almirola in 7th, Jimmy Johnson 8th, Joey Logano 9th, and Chase Elliott finding his way up to 10th. He scared me there for a little bit. He fell back and then obviously pitted and got like 16th and got up to 10th, so shout out to him. He had a fast car, and just I don't know why Alan Gustafson told him to stay out, but he did, and I think he could have gotten a better finish had he pitted with the rest of the guys and not just went for track position. But I mean, it worked out for Larson and Truex, so it could have just as easily worked out for Chase. Then Joey Logano finished 9th. He was up and down and all over the place. He had to pit early for I think he didn't fill the gas all the way up. Thought he was going to make it. He could have easily made it had he just filled it up, but he pit there, and I thought his day was done. Nope, he ended up finishing 9th. Crazy. Jimmy Johnson, he had, I guess, kind of a slow start. I wouldn't really like what. And then he like came up to the field and worked his way, and I believe he got up to like 5th, but then ended up finishing 8th. Eric Almirola finished 7th. I don't even know where he came from. Like, for real though, he was back in like 16th last I checked. Next thing I know, I'm looking at the final results and he got 7th. So crazy race. And then Ryan Blaney, the pole sitter. At the beginning, I was like, okay, he's actually got some speed, but once he got passed by Harvick and all of them, you kind of tell he just didn't have a winning car this week. He just kind of had a fast car, top 5 car, maybe top 3, depending on how the race went. But he ended up getting 6th place. So, I mean, it's not a bad race from him. It's just kind of disappointing being a Blaney fan and seeing him not win the race when he was so fast in practice and all those. But I didn't think he would have. I wasn't really expecting it. Anyways, 11th Paul Menard, 12th Austin Dillon, who we'll talk about. Matt Kenseth 13th, Ricky Stenhouse 14th, Jamie McMurray 15th. So Paul Menard got 11th. Shout out to him. I believe he was on a different strategy as well. He was on a different strategy. He was able to get 11th place. So I mean, I don't remember Pocono being a strategy race, but it was a huge strategy race. And Austin Dillon's a great example of that. He took 2 tires at the end of the stage and hung around in the top 10 until the end and ended up finishing 12th. That's a great finish for him. Got 25 points out of it. Go on to the next week. Shout out to him. Matt Kenseth was in 31st, a lap down. I didn't see the beginning of stage 3. I don't know what happened. Can you guys tell me what happened at the beginning of stage 3? Because I did not happen to see the first 20 laps of stage 3. And I didn't even, like, when I went over the final results about 5 minutes ago, or not 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, I did not see Matt Kenseth got 13th. So great job by that Roush Fenway team, along with Ricky Stenhouse, who was someone down in the 20s, not having a good race, got back up to 14th. And Chris Buescher, we'll talk about him in a little bit. He was down in like 30s, I believe. Jamie McMurray, he was crazy good. He was up there, and I believe he started 3rd, and then he was up in the top 10 for most of the race. Obviously didn't have just the car really to win or run the top 5, but he had a really fast car, and I think just something, he just wasn't able to go on a restart or something like that and just fell behind, got 15th, but he still had a fast, promising car. Chris Buescher, actually no, we're on the next one. 16th, David Reagan. 17th, Chris Buescher. 18th, William Byron. 19th, Kurt Busch. And 20th, Clint Bowyer. So, David Reagan, I don't even know. I didn't even realize. Great finish for his team. I don't really have anything to say about it. I mean, great job by that front row team. Front row Ford getting up there, getting the 16th. And shout out to him. Low-key in my NASCAR E2 career mode, David Reagan, though, currently has a win and is in 5th place. And it's, yeah, so maybe he'll just become that guy. No, I'm just playing. But then Chris Buescher, another low-budget team, getting 17th. Glad to see that. He was a lap down and almost like wrecked Truex there a little bit. So, way to turn it around. Pocono is probably one of his favorite tracks, considering he got his one and only career win so far. And congratulations to that team getting a strong finish. William Byron, come on now, Byron. What are you doing back here? He was up in like 10th right before the the last caution came out. He was in like 10th, and then he fell all the way back to 18th. I mean, that's not to speak for his race, as he had a wonderful race, and really he was up there for most of it. And yeah, that definitely is nothing to describe his race. And I mean, he's a rookie. What do you expect? He's not going to be consistent. He might not be able to run up with the big guys at the end of the race just because he's not used to it. So Kurt Busch got 19th. He just didn't seem to have the speed. I mean, there's nothing really to add to it. He just didn't have. Wasn't a fast car at Pocono. I've never really known him to be fast at Pocono. So, and then Clint Bowyer, he was a fast car. He was up there in 5th for most of the race. He was that 5th car, like in that battle for the lead. And then the second stage, he still was in 5th, but he was not up there with the top 5. You know, with those 5 cars in the lead. And then he just faded away. I think he had they made some bad adjustment and just wasn't able to keep the car straight. And then Michael McDowell, I want to talk about him. He got 21st. Shout out to him. John Dinger with 22nd. Ty Dillon finished in the top 30. That's 23rd. Daniel Suarez was in 24th. He was up there in like 13th or 12th. I don't know what happened to him. He might have gotten involved in a wreck or something. Ryan Newman, 25th. I don't really know what happened to him. Cole Custer got 26. Shout out to him. Part-time driving for Rick Ware Racing. Actually, do you guys believe that Cole Custer is going to be a full-time driver next year? That's a possibility. I don't know, but Alex Bowman, he was one that had a great race. Like there was no reason that he should have been in the top 10. Got a top 10 finish. He had a fast car. first stage, I don't know what happened to him. Then the second stage, all of a sudden, he's up in the top 10. I'm like, where did you come from? But he just didn't have a lucky ending. Got into it with Denny Hamlin. I mean, there are shots on both sides. I'm not really going to get much into it. And then Eric Jones, or Ross Chastain, got a top 30. Shout out to him. You got to appreciate those small teams that get good top 30, top 20 finishes. You always got to appreciate them. Eric Jones got 29th. I mean, he had a fast car, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't a top 10 car. It was a top 15 car. And obviously had an issue with Logano. I don't think that was anyone's fault, really. He just didn't happen to see that Logano was there. And then that's really it. All right, so we are back. It's the next day. I apologize. I had to go eat and just never got back to doing it that night. But this is the next day. I pretty much talked about everything that happened in the race yesterday, or first part of the video. So I'm sorry if I missed anything. I'm pretty sure I was really done. But what I want to talk about, Kyle Larson, and I would have just let the video go and just had it explained right now, but I want to talk about Kyle Larson, how he finished in second place, and how he has strung together a couple great races, and how Chevy is actually showing some speed, as we had, I believe, 4 or 5 top 10 Chevys, and really they were fast throughout the entire race. Alex Bowman probably would have finished in the top 10 as well if he hadn't wrecked with Denny Hamlin. William Byron, he was up there in the top 10. Austin Dillon might as well have been in the top 10. He got up there for strategy, but still, I mean, strategy. He actually was able to keep it up there. I don't know about Bubba, but the Chevys all had their moments in that race where we were like, hey, they're actually fast, and if they can keep this up at Michigan, this is Larson's. I would say Michigan's Larson's best track, so we already expected Larson to be good, but now we're seeing Chevy coming back, and we're seeing Larson being a Larson. Don't be surprised if you see him go out there and finally get Chevy another win this season and clinch his spot in the chase next season. That's really all I got. Chevy's going to be fast. Is getting okay. Okay. I said this last time. I need to wait a little bit before I come to conclusions, and y'all do too. 2 races. Been 2 races. Now if they go out there to Michigan, that'd be 3. They go out, whatever their next race isn't as good. Alright, you gotta take this by a week basis. You can't just base it off of 2 races, 3 races, 1 race. You have to, I mean, at the very least 5. It's gotta be consistent, because these could just be tracks that Chevy happens to be good at, which Pocono is a track that Chevy's generally good at, along with Charlotte is pretty well. Everyone's good at Charlotte. Michigan is one that's kind of a toss-up. It's between Chevy and Toyota, and Ford, but yeah. But it's not really like, no one's really dominated. Obviously Larson has, so maybe you could say Chevy, but there's no real dominating manufacturer. So this will be one where we see if the Chevys are able to keep up with the Toyotas and the Camry, Toyota and the Camrys, Fords. Anyways, shout out to Pocono for not being that bad of a race this season. Usually it's the most boring race, one of the most boring races of the season, but I actually enjoyed it. It was pretty good racing. I think really the main difference is it got repaved, so now I think it's about 8 years. I believe 8 years. I know I had just started watching when it was, so it might have been about 5 or 6 years ago. I don't know. I think most it was 10, because I've been watching for 10 years. But yeah. So it was probably the best Pocono race I'd ever seen. It was really fun to watch, and very exciting seeing all the different cars up there in front. And well, it wasn't actually like Kevin Harvick pulling away. It wasn't Martin Truex or Kyle Busch pulling away. It was all 3 of those guys were racing. I mean, at least we have that. I mean, what would be ideal is they're all racing, but I mean, if we have 3 cars up front racing, I'm completely fine with that. And comment down below your thoughts on that. Comment down below your thoughts on the race and how you guys think Michigan's going to go. I will have a video coming out about Truex later this week, so stay tuned for that. And I'll see y'all later. Peace out.